Okay, I'm gonna show you how to make drops. Okay, drops, you know, are basically extra pieces you can put on a piece. You know what I mean? You know, the balls that they solder on the bottom or the top, or just little accent little balls that they use. Well, basically to make those, you gotta get your material. Here's some scrap material. What I'm doing here is you gotta think, okay, how much do I cut? It really doesn't matter, but you just start cutting. And I just start laying down. And you can just, what I do is I just start making a pile. Just make a pile of cuts. Not too small, not too big, but just, you know, that size. Usually I go with 3 different sizes of cuts. There's that size, and then there's a full size. So you have 3 different cuts of cylinders. You got a big one, you got a medium one, and then you got a small one. What I do is I make a pile of them, then I separate everything. But you can do it this way and just start cutting and just place it and just start separating everything as you're cutting. Make sure nothing is touching. So you're gonna use a striker and you're gonna use your thumb to actually press down on the end where it moves here. Because if you don't, you kind of don't get a good spark. So I actually stick my torch as close as I could to it and then strike it. Good. There you go. Okay. Now hold the torch. We're gonna teach you with a high flame. I was taught with a high flame. Just start with that piece and just melt it all the way completely. And you don't need to move. Just focus the flame on there and just watch it do what it does. Boom. Turns into a ball. Go to the next one. Turn it into a ball. Do all of them just like that. Once it turns into a ball, move on. And what we're doing is we're giving you a feel for how the metal actually works and how much heat it actually takes for it to melt. What is the melting temperature? Now we don't know that at the top of our head, but we can see it. And so you get used to that visual remembrance of how this stuff actually melts and what temperature it actually does. And you notice how it turns red? You know how it starts to get shiny? Right before it starts to melt, see how shiny it gets, and then it just clumps up. And so there's different techniques you can do with this. So for the next one, right as it starts to melt, pull the heat away and don't let it melt. See, it went too far. So now, just let it go. And go a little bit more, give it a little bit more, just don't let it go into a ball. Make some kind of weird structure. Start right there. You know what I mean? See how you made like a bat or something?
Yeah.
And try to do that. And try to make some forms with the silver. You know, whatever you see it, you know, you just pull away. Just let it, you're controlling your temperature. See how you made a weird structure out of that? And so do that. And just kind of just work with it and just let it flow and create something just out of the fire, you know? You're gonna make something here. It's just abstract. See, and then when you're able to just use one hand, you can manipulate it.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? And kind of, yeah, you can manipulate. It's still hot, so I can kind of manipulate it. See, I still made a nugget out of it.
Yeah.
And then by using something like that, it kind of makes it flow quicker too, so that I can move it around and it kind of gets hotter. And then when it's hot, you can kind of press it, or, you know, you can make into different things, really. But learning this, then you'll start learning how to actually make it into a shape or something, you know.
Can I make a giant ball out of that one?
Yeah, a giant ball.
Wow.
Just evenly flow the torch so it evenly melts everything, you know. And you can go closer. That's right there is about 2 inches away is where you want to be for everything. You don't want to be too far.
There's a nice little
Yeah, it's a nice little
spot for different things.
Oh yeah, I'm using one of those crucibles, and then you mount the silver in it, and then you pour it into a bucket of water, and
Nice ball.
then you can flatten it out, make an ingot,
Yeah. Oh, okay.
you know, stamp it. So this was one of the first things I've ever learned, making jewelry. This is one of the first things I've ever did, was what I call making drops. I don't know why they call them drops, but that's just what we called them in my family. Some people call them teardrops or just balls. We call them drops. So that's about good right there. So go ahead and turn it. What I'll do is I'll get a water bottle like this, and then I'll poke a hole in it. If you try to take some of these up, they're stuck, right? Like that one's stuck because it's still hot on the pad. And to conserve your pad and it not flaking off and getting stuck on your drops, you want to hit it with water. And I just soak it, and I never worried about those pads. And it evaporates real quick. Then you get your knife or whatever you're gonna use. Start scraping all these up, gather them.